Hi, it's Andrea. I'm actually a bit nervous to do this video. I don't know why. I guess it's just because it's the first time I've sort of talked about me rather than hiding behind a mannequin head. But I thought I know so much about my ladies, and they tell me their stories and they confide and they share with me, and I just feel like I should, I guess, do the same. So this video is going to be about me, my life, my story, and if you're interested, grab a tea, grab a coffee, cheers, and here we go. So I am Andrea, I'm Greek, I'm 36. I have been married for 14 years, so I was nearly 15. I was 21 when I walked down the aisle. I've got two kids. I've got a boy and a girl. My boy is 11 and my little girl is 5. So they are basically, as most mums would say, my entire being, my entire existence. I guess they are the drive behind my work and what I do. However, having them for me was not always easy. So I actually miscarried 3 times. That's why they have such a big age gap between them. I mean, considering I was young and otherwise healthy, I don't know why. The doctors said it was just one of those things. So, so I miscarried 2 times, and then eventually I had my boy, and then I got pregnant again. I miscarried. You're going to have to ignore the notifications. My phone always goes crazy. I got pregnant again. I then miscarried again. I then went for testing. They were like, everything's fine. It took another year, and then eventually my little girl came along. So I feel very lucky. I feel very blessed. And I feel very much that who we are is a detriment to, I guess, our families and how we're raised, but also I think what life throws at you makes you who you are. So many of my ladies say to me, "You're so nice, like you really care," and I am. I feel I do, and I'm glad that shines through because for me, it's never ever about money. It's never about greed. In fact, I'll go as far as to say I couldn't care less about money. I feel like it's the root of all evil. I just feel that my job, of course, I need to make money. I need, to live. But I feel like I could do anything to make money. But the reason I choose to do this is because I do care about people. And as my story goes on, you'll understand more and more how and why and, what shaped us. So a bit more about me is I'm a complete health freak. I'm very boring. I don't really have much of a social life. I don't really have a very big group of girly friends. I've got few but strong, good friends. I don't actually have the time to invest in these fake friendships. I feel like if I'm going to give my time up that I could be spending with my kids or I could be working to spend with a friend, she has to be a real friend. I don't do all of this backstabbing and he said, she said, and large groups of girls and bitching. I don't do any of that. I'm quite boring. I stay away from all of that. I have my tight-knit friends. I go out occasionally for dinner. I don't smoke. I rarely drink. I love the gym. I'm quite healthy in what I have. However, I am addicted to coffee. Like you would not believe. I have about 5 a day, but I feel like I need it just to get through my workload. So that's basically me. So I've been obviously with the same man for 15 years, my husband. He is like, they say opposites attract. I guess they do. He's quite different to me. People that know me say I've got no filter. And I guess I don't. I guess I don't know how to. I'm just honest. So I would just say it to you as it is. And I don't really stop and think, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said it quite like that. It's actually got me into trouble a few times. But people say also that they like it. I'm honest. Like I can't fake it. It's just it's there. I've said it. My husband's really different. He's really diplomatic. He'll pipe down in an argument, but I'll need to win it because I just feel so strongly about it. And my son actually took after me. My mum always said to me, growing up, I was such a difficult kid. My dad said that I made his hair go white. I was so argumentative and such a rebel. I used to just sneak out and do all these things. And my mum always said to me one day, I hope when you have a child, he or she is just like you. And boy, was she right. My boy is just like me. He knows his mind, and he just needs to get his point across, and he gets, just to get his point across. And I must admit, I'm exactly the same. And I think it comes from a clean heart, because what you're saying is true, and you mean it, but you kind of need to express it in a way that the other person gets it. I probably think the worst thing you could ever call me is fake. I think that would probably upset me more than anything. I come from a strict family. My dad is a priest. We're a very close family. I've got 2 sisters. I'm the middle child. We're very, very close. They're like my best friends. We used to always share a room growing up. We were constantly fighting. Like, I'm talking hair grabbing, bitch slapping, but I guess, I don't know. My dad said we made his hair go white, so it can't have been normal, but we were those kind of sisters. Not really my middle one, but more me and the eldest. But regardless, we're like the best of friends now. It's nice that our kids can mix, and I don't know. I feel like I can be my real self around them. But I think with friends, you're always, I don't know, just a tiny bit more. I don't know. You're different with your family, aren't you, than you are with your friends, is I guess what I'm trying to say. So I've always loved working for myself. Before I had my boy, I was an estate agent, and it was really long hours. And then obviously with all the miscarriages, when he finally came along, I was like, no, I don't want to go and work those long hours. Like, I want to be around to like spend as much time with him as I can. However, I think the biggest hurdle for our family was, and I think which made me go into this line of work more, was when my daughter was 6 months old. I remember I got a really frantic call from my mum. Just basically, see, my mum's quite a hypochondriac, so at the time it was hard to sort of not think she was just being mum, if that makes sense. So she called me up and was basically saying, I can't put my foot in my shoe. Now, my mum's 56, she was then, so it was only like a few days before we were like walking around the park, and took my daughter, who was 6 months at the time, around the park for a little walk, and we were having like a chat. And I remember her saying to me, like, I've been having loads of headaches, and I remember thinking, that's weird, but I just dismissed it. Anyway, so she calls me up being really frantic, just saying like, I can't put my foot in my shoe. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't get it. And I was trying to keep my voice down because my baby was sleeping. She was saying, something's not right. I feel really weird. And I was like, I'm sure you're fine. Like, have you taken anything? She's like, yeah, I had paracetamol with caffeine. And I'm like, it's probably that. Like, caffeine probably just making you really jolty. You're fine, but just call me back if you need me. And then she literally, I remember just thinking, is she okay? That's a bit weird. But there was nothing I could do. My baby was asleep in the car. I'd just come out of the bath. I had like wet hair. She was on her own though at home, so I was a bit worried. And she rings me back 20 minutes later, just going like, something's wrong. And at that point I thought, okay, this isn't really quite like mum. So I dialed for an ambulance. And by the time the ambulance got there and I made my way down to the hospital, they were saying they thought it was like I don't know, like a panic attack. And to be honest, I thought probably, no, mum is just having some sort of a panic attack. When you're panicking about panicking. Anyway, then as we were in the hospital, her leg just starts shaking up and down, up and down, up and down. I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, I can't stop my leg shaking. And I'm like, that's really very weird, but you're fine. I put my hand on her leg, just going, just fine, just relax. And anyway, to cut a long story short, it wasn't panic. It wasn't anything else. She was having a seizure. And the leg going up and down was basically her having a seizure. The hospital were absolutely useless. They just left her there. They just left her sitting in the wheelchair having a seizure. It was like a bad dream. We were like, hello, help, help, my mum's, like somebody, anybody. And it was just like, what? She's fine. Well, it was like a bad dream. That's the only way I could think to explain it. Eventually they like came round, they like took bloods, and the blood thing fell out and blood was squirting everywhere. My mum was like, someone stop this seizure, someone stop this happening. And we were so clueless. It was literally like one of the worst days of my life. I had to leave my 6-month-old with my husband, who I was exclusively breastfeeding. My daughter had loads of allergies. She had allergic colitis, which means blood in the poo. She was intolerant to everything. So I was her only source of food. I had to cut literally every allergen out of my diet and give her only my breast milk. So I'm there at the hospital with my mum, thinking, what's wrong with my mum? But at the back of my mind, thinking, my kid's hungry, my baby's hungry. Like, who do I run to? Who needs me the most? Then they came out and said, we're still get really choked up reliving it. They said, we're gonna take your mum for a brain scan. We said, what? Like, what's her leg? Like, her leg's shaking. Why are you taking her for a brain scan? They said, well, we need to. So they took her in for a brain scan, and she just looked out of it. Anyway, they came out and said, we found something on your mum's brain. We don't know what it is. Obviously it's A&E. They said, it could be a tumour, it could be an infection, or it could be a cyst. They said, we're not going to lie, all of which is really serious. And I just remember thinking, it's my mum. She's like, my mum. And then they came out and said that a specialist analysed it and she had a brain tumour. And you like read about these things and you hear other people, but you never think it's you. You just doesn't cross your head. Although that day in the park when she said she had loads of headaches, I remember thinking, could it be a brain tumour? But I thought, nah, don't be stupid. Stop being a hypochondriac and stop thinking the worst. Anyway, we had ahead of us months of hell, basically. I was darting from the hospital, which was in London at this point because she got referred to a specialist, to my baby. I couldn't express milk. I got 2 pumps and I was like a cow, one on each tit, and no milk was coming out, nothing. I could only feed her through me. It was a really stressful time. Run to the baby, run to mum, run to the baby, run to mum. So to cut a long story short, mum had a craniotomy, which is a brain operation where they went in and they sucked out the tumour. They analysed it and thank God it was benign, which means it was not cancerous. Had it been cancerous, my mum would no longer be here. The fact that it was benign meant it wasn't cancerous, and once they took the brain tumour out, it meant that she was basically, going to be okay. Although unfortunately, when mum came home, she got really, really sick, and as a complication of the op, she got a blood clot, a bleed in the brain, and she was even sicker, to be honest, after that. And it just went on for months and months and months, and it was a really long road to recovery. You don't realise that your brain controls everything. Like she couldn't even pick up her tea, she just couldn't do it. It was, and my mum, she's like, I'm like her, on the go, loves to do housework, obsessed with her house being clean, and she couldn't do anything. So with me and my sisters, we were like taking it in turns to look after mum, hoover the house, polish the house, but it had to be to her standard, because even though she had a brain tumour, it was still pissing her off that her bathroom wasn't as clean as she could get it. I remember we got her a cleaner, and she just, it's a bit like me hiring someone to do my work. It was like the biggest, I don't know, thing for her was like she wasn't able to clean her own house. That was her thing. She was like, your typical Greek woman. She comes from a village. She's very house proud, and all of a sudden she's sitting there, she can't even clean her own home. It was really, really tough. But I tell you what got me. What got me is that when they did the brain operation, they obviously had to shave her hair off, and I think what shocked me more than anything, and that is why I'm even more compassionate in what I do, is the fact that even in her state of being so sick, she cared about her hair. Like, she cared that her hair was shaved off. I couldn't obviously make her a hairpiece because her head was really sore. Like, they'd cut from there all the way to there, so you can't say clip on a hairpiece. I mean, we had to get her a hat, and there was nothing else we could do because her head was so painful. But what I was, I guess, most surprised about is how much you care about your hair and about how you look even when you're sick. So now when I deal with ladies who are going through cancer and they say to me, you know, like, we've got hair loss, and, you know, they probably think she don't get it, you know, she's got her hair in and whatever else, but you know what, I really do get it. And I feel like what happened to my mum makes me get it even more. So then my sister had a baby, and, you know, it was like mum was getting better. My sister had just got married and had a baby. It was her first baby, and we were kind of like, our lives were back on track, and we were, I don't know, do you know what, we were blocking it out and we were putting it behind us, and we were just forgetting that it ever happened, in the hope that we would just forget, God, did that actually happen? Mum was really doing well. And then unfortunately thunder struck our family again. So my sister had a baby, a little boy, and from the beginning he was really poorly, and she just couldn't understand why. He was only just a couple of months old, and I remember going round one day and holding him and saying to her, because obviously I'd had 2 kids and she hadn't, it was her first, and I kind of knew, I should have got tissues, by the way, shouldn't I, doing this video. I knew a bit more about babies, I guess, than she did, because I just had 2, and, well, they were older, but you just get it. When you haven't had kids, you don't kind of get it. Anyway, so I was holding this baby, and I was looking at him, and he, to me, wasn't breathing right. He was going, and I was like, I said to her, he doesn't look right to me. And she's like, I just took him to the doctor. She said, like, 2 days ago, and they said 0 concerns. And I said to her, listen, I said to her, I don't want to scare you. I said, but he looks sick. Like, he doesn't, I'm not a hypochondriac, ever. Well, a bit. But the kid was ill. I could see he was ill. I just thought he had a chest infection, or he had something. And then my mum as well, she was like, yeah, you tell her, because she won't listen to me. Oh, sorry. I'm just doing a video. Okay, I'll call you back. Bye. There's no way I'm ending the video. It was just my husband. I don't talk like that to clients. I'm doing a video. Anyway, so I said to her, he doesn't look right to me. And my mum was like, yeah, tell her, because she won't listen to me, because my mum is a hypochondriac. So if my mum was saying to my sister, oh, the baby doesn't look right, my sister would get annoyed with her. But with me, she knew that she should. Anyway, to cut a long story short, she took him to the doctors straight away. Again, another doctor now saw her, and they just said go straight to hospital. So at this point, we're all like, oh, really worried. We're like holding our breaths. We're like, what's wrong? But we just thought infection of some sort, pneumonia, lung. He'd get antibiotics and be fine. Unfortunately, he wasn't, and he had heart failure. So our shit, he just started again. Another, I'd say, 1.5 years of hospitals. And you know what, it's bad when it's your mum, and when it's a little baby, it's hard. It's really, really hard. He had so many things wrong with his heart that, like, one valve was faulty, one side of the heart was bigger than the other. Where you have chambers, he wasn't even a hole, it was just like there was like one big chamber as opposed to 2. I don't really get it, to be honest. It was a really complicated, really rare heart condition he had. My sister was, as you can imagine, beside herself. I am trying to be there for her, trying not to say stupid cliche things like it will be okay, because you know what, when someone's going through that, whatever you say, they just want to slap you. So you say, oh, it will be fine, slap, because there I am with my 2 healthy children, you know, she's probably thinking, what do you know, like, you don't get it. You could sympathise, you can empathise, but it's not the same as when it's happening to you, and you think you've got to be quite aware of that. So he went to the Brompton Hospital, which saved his life, and the UCL saved my mum's life. People moan about the NHS, and you know what, I agree, like GPs are, for me, never helpful, but these specialist hospitals like the NHS really saved their lives, both of them. He had open heart surgery at 6 months old, and it was a success, but it was obviously a very, very long road to recovery. He is now 3. He is the cleverest, cheekiest, cutest little baby or toddler you will ever meet. Like, the stuff he says, like, he says to me, nice to meet you, good to see you, like this little 3-year-old, and he speaks better English than me. He loves finding Sam, he's just running around. Obviously my sister is forever going to be worrying about him or looking over his shoulder, but he has regular heart scans, and the doctors have said that he will be absolutely fine, thank God. And then she went on to have a little girl, so it was nice. It was like I feel she got her happy ever after, and my mum is still well and healthy, thank God. She actually will do a YouTube video with me. She doesn't want to show her face, which I get, but from the back she said we'll do a YouTube video. So because my ladies are like, we want to see someone with thinning hair, and obviously through being sick my mum's hair is really thin, so I guess I wanted to just say that even though I don't have hair loss, I've been through a lot, and my family's been through a lot, and I think these things humble you and make you care, genuinely care, you know, not just because I think a lot of people want to come across a certain way, but it's what you go through in life and your experiences, and just life's a learning journey. None of us are perfect, nobody is, and I think what happens molds you into the kind of person you want to be, and I think that's kind of where I am now. I've got a lot of empathy for people. I'm starting to look into working with kids with hair loss, trichotillomania, you know, subjects like that. They're really dear to my heart, because I feel where we can, we should help. One person can't save the world, but you can certainly try. If I walk past a homeless person, I can't give him a home, but I can give him a tenner. You know, just help. Sometimes that tenner might not even give that homeless person. Do you know what? He might even go and buy drink and cigarettes with it, but at least he knows that people care and people aren't just walking past and disregarding him. So I guess that's me in a nutshell. Work like crazy. I love my work. I love my family. I love my kids, and I love my coffee. So I hope that's not gone on too long, 24 minutes. I hope that's given you a bit of an insight into who I am, because so many of you deal with me on a day-to-day basis, but no one really knows who I am. I feel it's important that I guess I share my story too. Yeah, I don't really think I've got anything else to say. So if you want to know anything else, just comment below and I'll be sure to answer. So if you've got this far, thanks for taking an interest, and take care. Bye.